Latin Brocards first video. Modus operandi. Modus operandi. This Latin brocard literally translates as the manner of operating or the way of acting. In contemporary usage, it refers to a characteristic method or pattern of behavior through which an individual typically carries out an activity or achieves a goal. The expression is frequently employed in legal, criminological, and professional context to describe a person's habitual way of working or their distinctive operational style. For instance, in criminal investigations, identifying a suspect's modus operandi, that is, their consistent methods or techniques, can help establish connections between different offenses or reveal an individual's unique behavioral signature. More broadly, the term can also be used in academic or organizational settings to denote a particular approach, procedure, or system through which tasks are performed. Example sentences. The detective identified the thief's modus operandi by analyzing the repeated techniques used in each burglary. Every company has its own modus operandi for managing projects and resolving internal conflicts. The researcher examined the government's modus operandi in implementing environmental policies across member states. Her modus operandi in dealing with challenges is to remain calm and analyze the situation carefully. Ignorantia legis non excusat. Ignorantia legis non excusat. This Latin brocard translates as ignorance of the law is no excuse. It expresses the fundamental legal principle that individuals are presumed to know the law governing their conduct and therefore cannot escape liability by claiming they were unaware of it. The maxim ensures that justice is applied consistently and prevents individuals from avoiding responsibility through ignorance. In court, this principle upholds the idea that laws apply equally to all members of society, regardless of personal knowledge or education. Beyond its legal context, ignorantia legis non excusat is also used metaphorically in everyday language to emphasize personal accountability, reminding us that being unaware of a rule, policy, or regulation does not exempt us from its consequences. Example sentences. In the courtroom, the judge reminded the defendant that ignorance of the regulation could not serve as a defense, because ignorantia legis non excusat. Scholars frequently invoke ignorantia legis non excusat when analyzing the foundations of justice and the moral duty to understand the law. The compliance officer cited ignorantia legis non excusat to stress that employees are responsible for knowing the company's internal regulations. When she received a fine for parking in a restricted zone, she quickly learned the meaning of ignorantia legis non excusat. ALEA IACTA est. ALEA IACTA est. This Latin brocard translates as the die is cast. It signifies that a decisive step has been taken and that there is no possibility of turning back. The phrase originates from the Roman general Julius Caesar, who reportedly pronounced ALEA IACTA est when crossing the Rubicon River with his army, an act that marked the beginning of civil war in Rome. Over time, it has come to symbolize the moment when a critical decision is made, setting events irreversibly in motion. The expression conveys both determination and the acceptance of inevitable consequences once a course of action has been chosen. It is often cited in a political, historical, and everyday context to express finality in decision-making. Notably, former US President George W. Bush used the phrase after deciding to invade Iraq, emphasizing the point of no return. Example sentences. When the Parliament voted to withdraw from the treaty, the Prime Minister declared ALEA IACTA est. Historians often refer to Julius Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon as the moment when ALEA IACTA est, a decision that forever altered Roman history. After years of debate, the board finally approved the merger, and the CEO remarked, "ALEA IACTA est." Once she submitted her resignation letter, she smiled and said softly to herself, "ALEA IACTA est." Illico et immediato. Illico et immediato. This Latin brocard literally means at once and immediately. It is a legal expression used to emphasize that a particular action must be carried out without delay or hesitation. In judicial and administrative context, illico et immediato indicates the urgent and mandatory execution of a decision, order, or procedure, leaving no room for postponement or further deliberation. The phrase conveys a sense of absolute immediacy and compliance, often used in rulings, formal directives, or institutional settings, where time is of the essence. Beyond its legal origins, illico et immediato is also employed in professional and everyday speech to stress the need for swift and decisive action to do something now, not later. Example sentences. The court ordered that the property be returned to its rightful owner illico et immediato, leaving no room for appeal. The director instructed that the safety measures be implemented illico et immediato following the inspection report. When the system malfunctioned, the manager demanded that the IT department intervene illico et immediato to restore operations. After realizing the mistake, she decided to correct it illico et immediato before it caused further problems. Nihil sub sole novum. Nihil sub sole novum. This Latin brocard literally means there is nothing new under the sun. The phrase conveys the idea that events, actions, or human behaviors tend to repeat themselves over time, and that what may appear new is often merely a recurrence of what has already existed. In legal context, nihil sub sole novum is used to indicate that no new evidence, arguments, or circumstances have emerged that could alter a previous decision or judgment. The expression underscores continuity and the absence of novelty in a given situation. More broadly, it is also applied in academic, political, and cultural discussions to emphasize that history often repeats itself and that many so-called innovations are in reality reinterpretations of past ideas or patterns. Example sentences. After reviewing the case, the judge concluded nihil sub sole novum, as no new facts had been presented to justify reopening the proceedings. When analyzing modern political rhetoric, scholars often remark nihil sub sole novum, as the same strategies have been used for centuries. During the meeting, the consultant dismissed the proposal as nihil sub sole novum, noting it merely repeated earlier initiatives. Hearing yet another scandal in the news, she remarked and said, nihil sub sole novum. Nothing ever really changes.